Hello, welcome to the School of Wisdom, the May 2024 edition, and it is my pleasure to come your way with another edition of the School of Wisdom. My name is Peter, and the School of Wisdom is about learning to apply the wisdom of God to everyday living, learning to take scriptural wisdom, right, and applying this to the issues that we are faced with in our relationships, in our finances, in our jobs, in our dealings with people, and in all areas of life. So welcome to the month of May 2024. And let's just say a short word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for your help. We have always enjoyed. We pray for light and understanding in Jesus' name. Amen. So what am I talking about this month of May 2024? I want to continue the discussion I started since the month of February, and that is on how to thrive in any land. How to thrive in any land. So you can say this is how to thrive in any land part 4. How to thrive in any land part 4. And I said that when you look at events and circumstances in different parts of the world, you can say these are challenging times all over the world, that it amounts to mistake and maybe short-sightedness in our thinking to say, oh, maybe some countries are free from some troubles or some countries are trouble-free, generally speaking. But that a way of saying how to thrive in life is to look at issues like this, that it is not because things are tough or because things are rough on the outside that people don't succeed. It is not because things are tough, it is not because things are rough on the outside that people don't succeed. Rather, it is because people are not refined on the inside of them. It is because people don't have certain things within them that they struggle. So what that means is, you go to maybe the most prosperous nation on the earth, you still see people that are struggling, that are barely making ends meet. If you go to maybe the poorest nations on the earth, you still see people that are okay, that are succeeding, that are thriving. And some, of course, some may say, but there's a difference between maybe struggling in Africa and struggling in America. That's not necessarily my focus. Yeah, you may say there is a difference. There are dimensions maybe of struggling that you will see maybe in Africa that you won't see in America. That is true. But there are also dimensions of struggles you will see in America that you won't see in Africa, right? So everywhere, what I'm saying in essence is everywhere has got its own issues and its own challenges. But I'm saying it is not because of external factors that people succeed or fail necessarily. No. Even when factors are very favorable on the outside, there are people that will still struggle. There are still people that will not succeed. Think about it. Maybe you've heard of open book exams before. Maybe or take-home exams, exams where students are allowed maybe to open their textbooks and all that. Why is it that some students still fail or still struggle? That is to tell you it is not necessarily about external factors in terms of prosperity, economic boom. Maybe majority will thrive economically speaking, but some will still struggle. It will still be challenging for some other people. On the flip side, in the times of economic downturn, some people will still make headway, some people will still thrive. So I am saying, regardless of external factors, regardless of externalities, a person can thrive, a person can do well for themselves, a person can live fine, a person can live in a way that will bring glory to the name of the Lord, a person can avoid being a victim. And I'm saying this has nothing to do with external factor or the fact that things are rough or things are tough on the outside, but the fact that people are not refined within themselves, or some things are not refined on the inside of people. And being refined on the inside has a lot to do with our way of thinking, our way of reasoning, our perspectives, as well as our approach to life. So I say the word thrive, as used in this context, actually is an acronym. I started by talking about thinking big, that is seeing beyond the immediate, seeing the big picture. Why is thinking very important? Why is it important to think big, to think beyond survival? Think about it. If two people have got jobs and one of them is just thinking about survival and the other person is thinking about making an impact, don't you think there will be a difference in how they approach the job as well as the outcomes they are likely to get from the job? So I say it starts with thinking big, our way of thinking, our way of reasoning. And then we talk about owning our skills, fine-tuning our skills, improving our skills. That generally speaking, the rarer our skill sets, the more we are likely to be in demand, the more we are likely to thrive in any environment where we find ourselves. And then I talk about the importance of relationships that if you've got right people in your life, you are likely to succeed. And then last month, I started talking about information. That information makes the difference between success and struggles most times. Right information makes the difference between thriving and being a victim of the environment. So if you think about it, maybe for some people that are victims of identity theft or scam, most times they say, oh, if you click on this link, if you do this, you're likely to get this outcome. If they had people to say, oh, you don't do that, just give them ideas about how some of these scammers operate, they would not fall victim as such. So that's what I'm saying, that information deficiency is the reason behind many struggles in life. Information deficiency. And the thing about information deficiency is that it's closely connected to ignorance. We don't necessarily know the things that we don't know until maybe people open our eyes, until people tell us about it, and then you're like, oh, why didn't I think about that? Why didn't I know that? So what I'm saying is, it is generally hard, in fact almost impossible, to fail in life with right information or relevant knowledge. It is generally hard, almost impossible to fail with right information, with relevant knowledge. Of course, people may have information and not act on it, right? People may have information and not act on it. But if you think about it, it is very rare, if not impossible, for a person to have right results, particularly on a consistent basis, without right information. It is very hard, if not impossible, for a person to consistently have the right results without the right information, without the relevant knowledge. So that is why I say it is generally hard. It is almost impossible for people to struggle with right information, because right information is the raw material, is the basis for right motivation. Right information leads to right motivation. Right motivation leads to right actions, and right action will produce right results. It starts with the information that people have access to. So if results are not there most of the time, one of the maybe frustrating things, or one of the astounding things you will discover in life, is that it's not everybody that fails for lack of effort. If the results are not there most of the time, it is not always the case that people are not putting in the efforts, right? People may be putting in the effort, but they may not be applying it with right information, or they may not be working hard with relevant knowledge relative to what they are aiming to achieve. That's why in the Bible it says the labor of the foolish wearies them, because they do not know how. They do not have relevant knowledge, relevant information about what they want to achieve, about the area of life they are interested in getting results. It's also in Ecclesiastes 10:10, it says, if the ask be dull, we talked about that last month, that don't go about with a dull ask. Don't go about with outdated information, otherwise the person may struggle endlessly. So I say the starting point in analyzing our results in life most times it should be the quality of information we have access to, or the quality of information we are trading with. If we are not getting the desired result in any environment, the starting point should be the quality of information we have access to, or the quality of information we are trading with. If we keep increasing in terms of the quality of information that we get, in no time our output will also increase. If we keep getting better, relevant knowledge, relevant information, the know-how of whatever we want to achieve in life, in no time the result will also be there. And the reverse is also true. if we are just dissipating energy, if we are just keeping up with the Joneses, we are just waking up, going to work without necessarily assessing our strategy, the kind of information we are working with, we may not get the desired result, regardless of the kind of effort that we put in place. So this is why information is very important. And how do we get this information? Through exposure. Exposure to people that have this information. Exposure that to people, to maybe materials that teach this kind of information. This is why no matter what you spend getting relevant knowledge, relevant information, it is never a waste. No matter what you spend, no matter the effort, no matter the investment in terms of your time, your resources, your energy, knowledge, relevant information will always deliver much more to you in the long run than whatever the price it may cost you to acquire such knowledge. So people with relevant information, relevant knowledge, people with the know-how will always thrive in any and every environment that they find themselves. So that is letter I. We're talking about how to thrive. So we've talked about letter T, we've talked about letter H, we've talked about letter R, we have talked about letter I now. Now I want to go ahead and talk about letter V. Letter V in the acronym THRIVE. And V here, I mean vision, birth, discipline. V means vision, birth, discipline. Now, when I talk about vision, you will see that it's closely connected to the things that we've talked about. That's why I started talking about how we think, the big picture. That a person's vision, for example, affects how they think. It affects what they say. It affects how they see themselves as well as how they see the world. A person's vision affects how they think, how they approach issues of life, what they say per time, how they respond to situations and circumstances, how they see themselves. So I will always say to people, I remember when I was a student doing PhD, and it was like things were tough. I had to go from school to work and things like that. I will be telling some of the people around me that don't worry, very soon I will have a good job in this country. I will live a good life. I won't be struggling like this endlessly and things like that. Vision affects what you say, how you see yourself, how you approach life is a situation and circumstances. It's just like the story of two people that were sent to a particular location where people don't wear shoes. And then one person commented and said, you know what, those people are barbaric, there's no prospect for our business there, a shoemaking company, and then we should just forget about it. And the other person said, oh, it's a great market for us. Nobody's wearing any shoes there. We can actually mass produce our product and ship it to them, sell at reduced prices, and then make huge profit. That there is a great demand for our products there. It's the same situation, but a matter of perspective. That is similar to the story of the 12 spies in Numbers 13. They were sent to go and view the land. Some say, oh, you know what, we were like grasshoppers in our own sight. What I said about vision affecting how people see themselves. So when people say things like, some things are for the rich people, or some things are not for people like me, that is, they are talking about positive things and they are excluding themselves. They are essentially saying that they don't have maybe a genuine vision for their lives, that they cannot see themselves doing big things, doing great things in life. That if you have vision, it will affect how you approach life. That's why I say vision, birth, discipline. I'll talk about discipline as a second component of this acronym. But if we focus on that concept of vision for now, you can begin to understand maybe why people struggle endlessly. That in very simple terms, maybe you have heard so much about vision, but think about vision like this, that your vision is your focus, right? If you want to know whether you have a vision in life, look at how focused you are, your level of focus in whatever you do, right? So maybe in your job, what is your focus? Is it just about getting a paycheck, just living from hand to mouth, or can you see beyond the immediate? Can you see yourself doing something great, something remarkable? So you want to know vision. So forget about all the mystical things that maybe you have heard about it. Just think in terms of your focus. What are you focused on? What are your preoccupations? What are your dominant thoughts? Your way of thinking? about your life, about your job, about the money you make. So I say, for example, if a person makes money and they don't know what to do with it and they just waste it, they spend it anyhow, it's a proof that they don't know the purpose for which they have the money. They do not have a vision in life. They are not aiming towards something. So a person's vision is closely linked to their focus. Now, a person's vision is also closely linked to their desire, what they want to achieve, right? So I say, if survival is a person's goal, there will be a difference in their approach compared to somebody that wants to work and make something out of their life. There will be like significant difference. That's why, for example, you cannot compare the approach of a business owner, right, and an entrepreneur with an approach of somebody that is just out there to collect their paycheck. No, they'll be different, because the business owner knows that if anything goes wrong, it bears all the risk, particularly if they are sole traders. So that's what I said, that a person's vision determines their, or shows a picture of their desire, or is known by their desires. What is your desire? What are you aiming for in life? What is your idea of success? And that is the third thing. A person's vision is also known by their idea, their perspective of a good life or a successful life. So if I ask you as a person, how do you define success? How do you define a good life? If everything you can imagine, everything you can talk about is maybe have a job, get a house, or buy a house, or build a house, have a car, have your children in school, and that's all, in all probability, you will not get beyond that level in life, no matter the kind of opportunities or openings that you have, or even where you live. In other words, a person's vision determines the height they are likely to ever get to in life, the height they are likely ever to either cross or remain at. It's not necessarily something that is determined by God or some mystical factors or forces beyond the individuals, but how people see themselves, how they see their situations, how they interpret events and circumstances around them. If you are in doubt, think about the story of those 12 spies and what became of the 10 of them that came with a particular type of report, as well as what became of the other two that the Bible said they had a different spirit. So vision helps you to see things differently. That everybody may be looking at the same thing, but we don't see things the same way. The difference is not necessarily in our physical eyes, but in our inner perspective, our vision, that inner understanding, inner insight into how things are, as well as how things can be. And that's why I say it's not necessarily because things are tough on the outside that people struggle, but because of what people have or do not have on the inside of them. So that is the place of vision, that regardless of where you find yourself, what is going on inside of you is more important than what is happening around you. And a person's vision is a major indication, or a major indicator, or a major measurement of what is going on within them. So it is not enough to maybe pack your bags and say, oh, maybe you have a job somewhere and you're moving somewhere. Or it's not enough to even have a job or a dream job. It is always important to ask, what is the big picture behind this, my job that I'm doing? What is the big picture behind this move that I want to make? What is the big picture concerning this thing that I am involved with? It is not just about survivor. Because if all you think about is survivor, if that's all the vision, all the idea that a person has got, it will be difficult for them to rise beyond that level in life. In other words, they will find it difficult to thrive regardless of where they live, regardless of the external circumstances or events around them. Now, I will continue with this discussion in the next video, where I will talk about the second part of this acronym, where I say is vision, birth, discipline. So just let me pause now and I'll continue in the next video. Thank you, and see you in the next video.